Hello. I'm making a video with the baby dog behind me sleeping on Paul's bed. And I have the computer now up on end because this is better. I think it looks better. So, yeah, I want to make a video talking about the therapy help centers that we need, and I see there are already people that are getting this started. This is obviously not some kind of original genius idea that I came up there with. It is something that probably worldwide, maybe a handful of people already thought about like I did all the time for many years. Many people already, compared to the Earth's human population, just a handful of people, maybe 100 people in the whole world that are constantly thinking about creating therapy help centers, now in parentheses, for free. Yeah, so there's a whole lot more people that are thinking about therapy help centers for profit, right? But that's not what we're talking about here. So we are talking about free of charge. I'm doing OCD rituals, I shouldn't be doing it. Everyone who has this, what I have, is not gonna look down on me for that, because they know very well what that is. They know how awful it is to have OCD. So it's not something that is actually no illness should be looked down on, no matter how down look worthy it appears, right? It shouldn't. You shouldn't. And the ETs are already talked about this, so that we should always keep in mind that everyone is precious and that people don't know. They don't know better. Okay, they're afflicted with incredible mental illnesses, and the criminals in particular. So our judicial system doesn't recognize criminals as being mentally ill, and I say they are. Okay, they are the most mentally ill of all. So, and I want to get into the detail of that, because I talked to Paul about this in length, and he'll say, no, it's not a mental illness, that's genetic. They are like this genetically. But then again, every mental illness that we have is a genetically predispositioned coping mechanism that is specifically coming from our DNA, that is coping with certain situations. Okay, and that's what it is for all of us, for the whole spectrum of mental illnesses. And again, I talked about this in my last video, that the psychiatric hand manual for the different illnesses is also mistaken with a lot of things. So, and that there's no such thing as Sam Bagnon already pointed out, and I'm glad he did, that these different forms of mental illness, they don't come in these clear cookie cutter assembled forms. Okay, they come in melange forms, they come in mixed form, they come in percentage form. So it's just a big, huge conglomeration of different forms, and I don't think anyone has 100% of this or that or that. Right? So it's always like it's a mix of things, and they also fade over into each other very gradually. It's not like here is this mental illness and then there comes a wall and then there's the next mental illness. So it's one big jumble of coping mechanisms that people have. And I would say these coping mechanisms are definitely genetic. Okay, so if you are Swedish, if you are Scandinavian, you probably tend to have Stockholm syndrome. Okay, I have a little bit of that. I have 14% Scandinavian in me. I have other things too. I have all kinds of things in me. But I know that this high percentage of Scandinavian, I forgot now what it was. I think 14% British or English. So British Isles, that's what it said. 14% British Isles. So then I have, of course, German because I'm from Germany. But the Germans are also just like the mental illnesses. They are not cookie cutter German, right? So all Germans have all kinds of things. They also have Pacific Islander, maybe just 1%. I have 0.5% Pacific Islander. Where does that come from? That comes from a long time ago, from some kind of sailor who brought home with him a woman from Samoa or something, right? So, and these kind of things happen all the time. Everything, the whole world is a jumble. Nothing is like, this is a German, or this is the typical German, or whatever, or the Germans have all blonde hair. No, oh no. Hell no, I don't have blonde hair. I have bleach blonde hair. My hair was dark auburn brown, so auburn brown, but very dark, so, and very curly, and my eyebrows my eyebrows were very, very thick eyebrows, very awful. So I see that in my old videos. I'm like shocked about it. So, and in the past, I would have never plucked my eyebrows. I would have thought that looks cheap. That looks, but that comes from the school that I've been through. I've been through the ringer with the school of don't get me started on that. The school of high society. They declared themselves to be high society, way up high. My brother, my parents also. Particularly my dad and my brother is real bad with that. But my brother has the absolute worst. I mean, it's so bad with my brother. He has to belong to the high society or he's a nobody. He would fall into an abyss if he didn't steal my inheritance money and buy himself a suit tailor-made in England. So he can brag and say, yeah, and then even saying like, I got this suit, because I would sometimes in video calls, and I don't talk to him anymore, but in the past I would say, oh, this jacket that you're wearing, that's pretty expensive. And then he'll say something like, oh, I got that from the rack, bought it from the rack, from Hugo Boss, or all of this, the way he talks, everything is, everything that goes through his brain is already it's all about bragging. It's all about, even when they're trying to come across as humble, like, oh, I only got that from the rack. That's how they talk, and he picks that up, and so, oh, this one is not tailor-made. I didn't spend $100,000 on this costume. This one is from the rack of Valentino or Gucci, right? So I'm so humble with the, yeah, but I don't know if you understand what I'm talking about. This is, I mean, it's convolutedly ridiculous. It doesn't get any more ridiculous. It's so convolutedly ridiculous that it is, and I see these things and it makes me cringe, and I feel sorry for him when I see this. I didn't say anything in the video conversations because I thought he was making an effort to connect, right? And so I don't want to make this conversation miserable with this kind of criticism. But of course I see all of that. I see it all, and it smells bad, and it has a bad smell. It has a bad odor of arrogance and confusion, and he's lost. Okay, this man is lost. He murdered my mother. Okay, so it's not funny, all of this. It is, and all of this so he can have more money, so he will be able to get conservatorship and the whole thing, right? All thought out for decades. All of that. He's never made it in his life. He tried to be a commercial filmmaker to make commercials for BMW and Mercedes-Benz, and he has done some of that. But the person that was actually making it happen, his partner that worked with him, the person that was actually the business part of this equation, he was the one that made it happen. Okay, he was so lucky to have that. He was starting to make money, So what does he do? He sabotages. He kicks that guy out. So he severs, breaks up the bridges with that guy. And the guy would never talk to him again, of course. And then what happens is he can't make it on his own without that guy. So then he plunges and was dependent again on my parents. And my parents are, oh, this is nothing. He'll figure it out. Because they're in denial. They want to think that their son is amazing, right? So it's such a denial that it goes so deep that when you have such a denial about your child, then don't be surprised that this child will take over you with conservatorship, take all of your money, and take your liver, your kidneys, and your blood. Okay, so, and if you're lucky, you end up in a state-run convalescent home. If you're not lucky, you end up with poison, being poisoned and have your kidney poisoned, and then have kidney failure, as what happened with my mother. And he also paid off the post-mortem examiner. He paid these people off. Even when I asked questions, they told me they can't disclose the file to me, even though I'm the daughter. So all of this is just long story, and I don't want to get caught in this again. I just want to say, I don't even want to talk myself into anger again about it, but it is what it is. I think that is the worst mental illness there is. It's sociopathy, psychopathy. Those are the worst mental illness forms that exist. Paul says that's genetic. Of course, it's genetic. It's a genetic coping mechanism form that copes with toxic society, okay, like that. And I would say, so as Dr. Adrian Rain, he's a forensic neuroscientist, and he's done extensive studies on psychopathy, and he said it, of course, it is mainly genetic, but it's a coping mechanism. It's a psychopathic coping mechanism that is genetic, that deals with the world in this way because they don't know any other way to deal with it. Okay, so that's the only way they can, because they don't have any remorse, they can't put themselves into someone else's shoes, they can't feel the other person's situation, suffering, and so on. They can only see their own situation and their own opportunities, however criminal they may be. So they don't see anything wrong with criminal actions, so with hurting someone else or taking everything from someone else. They don't see anything wrong with it. That's the worst form of mental illness there is of all. So, but we need therapy help centers that are free of charge. This is very, very important, because there are suicidal teenagers out there, and I've talked to some of them a while back, like a couple of years ago on Facebook. I'm not on Facebook anymore. Facebook wasn't, I mean, it was so badly going downhill with Facebook that even if someone created a Facebook group, it was so bad. It's all because of greed. Mark Zuckerberg, it's the worst form of mental illness. So always keep this in mind. These people are not above you or any. These people, they're not even good business people. They are so greedy that they greed themselves into the ground, and then they will lose the business. So that's not very good business, right? Obviously. A good business person is someone who has a regard for their clients, obviously. And Jeff Bezos thought he's so smart. He's regarding the clients. No, he's not. Okay, I want nothing to do with Amazon. I want nothing to do with this business. Okay, they tried to trick me and outsmart me. They tried to outsmart Paul. They always try to outsmart you with one wrong accidental click, and you are already signed up now for Prime, and then it's real hard to get rid of that. And this is criminal. Okay, it's absolutely. I think he got sued. He got a class action lawsuit against him. I'm glad he did, because it's unacceptable, all of this. But these people, they just can't help it. They are so criminal. They have such a criminal mind. That is sociopathy and psychopathy. Okay, and that's the worst form of all mental illnesses. Just keep this in mind at all times. Your psychiatrist might be one of those. The psychiatrist that tells you, the sensitive person, the sensitive teenager who is suicidal, tells you to your head that you are 5150. You need to go to area 5150 into the underground psychiatric dungeon, and that you need to be examined, and you need to do a lot of exams. They need to do a lot of tests on you. They need to experiment on you, and you need to your psychopathic brother needs to get conservatorship over you. They're the ones that will say that to your face. Okay. So they're the ones to say to you, you have borderline personality disorder, you need to be on Haldol or Risperdal. I've been on all of I have never taken Haldol. My ex-boyfriend in Germany was on Haldol and he was just a zombie. I was on Risperdal and I thought I was being buried alive. I'm not kidding you. Okay, it was so bad, it lingered in my system for months after that. I had to quit this. It was so bad. My psychiatrist said, "Oh, sweetie," on the phone. "Oh, sweetie, you forgot to take the side effect drug. It comes with two. With the drug and the side effect drug. You can, if you skip the side effect drug, then you're gonna have side effects." Oops.
Well, the electricity's
Oh.
Electricity went out again.
Power outage. Ta 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 ta. That is not good. So no, I don't even have my flashlight here. I don't know if this is gonna work. This is probably not gonna work. I have to get my flashlight.
Must be bad storms again.
Oh man, I wonder what is going on. I didn't notice there wasn't very much wind. I did a Wim Hof shower today outside. That was awesome with the shower hose. And it wasn't that windy, it wasn't even raining. It was really nice and the wind was warm. That it's an equatorial wind that came over here all the way to the north. So yeah, it isn't easy. Things are not easy in the world. No, don't think that for a second, whoever is watching. This existence here. Yes, it isn't easy. It's I guess not supposed to be easy, all of that. But you're supposed to be outsmarted and out-tricked by those, and the blue god agrees. 2, 2, 2, 2. Okay. Yes, he says it's the truth, what I'm saying. We come into this existence, we are being outsmarted, out-tricked, and out-scheistert. And by those that claim to be normal or neurotypical. But those are always the worst mental illness forms there are in the whole world. And as Adrian Rain said, it's about like 80% genetic, 20% it is environment, and that's probably true, but I think it also varies. I think it's not completely like 80-20 in every single person. In some people it might be 50-50, in some people it might be 60-40 and so on, right? Or anything in between, or in some cases might be 99% genetic and not very influenceable by the outside environment. So all of these things are possibly happening because we have a very wide variety of different brains and different organisms that react differently and act differently and cope differently with whatever situation is given at any time. So, but it's genetics is definitely dominant. There's no doubt about it. But see, that makes decision making very, that creates discussions on ethical management of the world. So how do we manage people? How do we manage criminals. That is the dilemma discussion that we have been discussing for decades, that people have been discussing for centuries. Okay, Friedrich Nietzsche, he was probably one of the very first psychologists in the world. And together with Sigmund Freud. So Sigmund Freud and Friedrich Nietzsche, I wonder if they've met ever, but they are probably one of the pioneers in the field of psychology. They didn't even have psychology at that time, in the late 1800s. That became a study field later on. So you can turn one of your flashlights on and shine it on the ceiling. Maybe that helps a little bit with making the video. I don't know. To make the video a little bit more interesting. Sherlock Holmes in the bedroom. Ta 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 ta. The baby dog didn't even the baby dog didn't even wake up from any of that. He is relaxed as always. That's very relaxed. And the dogs, the only thing the dogs need, they're very easygoing with that. Only thing they need is they need to be in bed with you. The flickering light. They need to be in bed with you, and then everything is good. And that is the truth, okay? And you should give this to your children, too, okay? Just always keep that in mind. Give that to your children. I wish my computer had some kind of internal light on the top that would shine at me like a flashlight that I could turn on any time. If a power outage happens, that would be very nice. There's my artwork. Light shining towards my artwork. It's nice. So the only thing the dogs need, and cats and all animals, they need to cuddle. They need to be together with other living beings. Okay. Of any species, they need to be together with other living beings. We all need that, okay? And when the dog is in bed, everything is good. And that is the meaning of life, okay? The philosophers are always talking about the meaning of life. There's such a difficult question. No, it's not. The meaning of life is love and being together with lovely, kind-hearted, respectful living beings. Being together and feeling safe, being in bed and feeling safe all the time. Now the heater turned off. It's probably going to get a little chilly now. I wonder how long this is going to last now. So, but I'm not going to turn the video off because of the power outage. So, that I'm not going to let that spoil this video, and I think this is so important what I'm talking about. We need therapy help centers. I've been thinking about this, and I'm glad that there are other people that are already establishing things like this. They're the first free. It has to be free. You can't be. Healthcare should always be free. Friendship and community should always be free. Community center, where you can go to, where you are welcomed with open arms. Not a religious group, not like the Jehovah's Witnesses. You're welcome here, but only if you do what Jehovah is. They don't even know who Jehovah was, right? Only if you do exactly what we tell you to do. Or for example, in Islam, if people are protesting against the incredible tyrannical dictatorship, then they will be declared enemies of God. Which God? That's a Muhammad? That's a child rapist? Or which God are they talking about? Allah, the infinite cosmos? Al? Okay, that certainly doesn't rape any children, and that never meant to create a religion that rapes people. And then it's amazing the kind of stuff that is done from religions. It's incredible, and people, they so easily always want to fall back to religion, right? People have worked so hard to get away from religion, and then when things fall apart, then the religious people say, see, it's because they went away from religion. No, it has nothing to do with that. There are entities, there are demons, but they have nothing to do with religions, okay? The entities that's real, okay? And there's a lot of stuff that's in the Bible that is also based on true things, on the ether, okay? So observations about the ether, okay, it's true. It is unfortunately true, but that doesn't make the religion valid. That doesn't have to lure us back into this rigid, tyrannical religion. Okay, so stay away from religion. Stay away from it. Don't get lured back in on X or from the religious preacher type of people or whatever, or religious type of people that will say, and now Tucker Carlson leaning into religion more and more and more. That's not strong-minded. Okay, so I am not left, I'm not right. I may not be right, is what I say. I'm not right-wing, I'm not left-wing. I'm not religious. I'm also not an atheist. Okay, so I've been through I've been through different phases in my life. We have to explore these things. So it's important to explore that. Very important. It has its place to explore. Atheism is there to explore. Is that the answer? Is that the truth? No, it's not. Obviously not. But as an atheist, you make decisions on your kindness and not on your religious fanaticism. So it's one step towards honesty. Okay, definitely. But the ultimate answer, what's the ultimate answer? No one knows. No one knows the ultimate truth. Because we live in this realm here. It's a headset reality. Okay, according to Donald Hoffman, who is a mathematician and a theoretical physicist. And David Bohm has discussed these things already, okay, with Jiddu Krishnamurti. For 50 years or 60 years they talked about these things. What is reality? Okay. They called it the field of reality. That the field of reality is here. Okay. It's everything that is physical manifestations that come originally from the ether. Okay. Ether energy accumulations. That's all it is. But it's a headset reality. It's really it's really not something that's the ultimate reality. Okay, it's a headset reality. It's It's like a video game. It manifested in this way in order to give us some kind of created reality in order to experience resistance. We come into this existence to experience resistance from different things. When we're children, we hit ourselves on a table, on the corner of the table. We get mad at the table for that. We shouted that, you terrible table, that you hit me. And then, okay, learning experience. Then we realize, oh, the table didn't hit us. We were just recklessly bouncing past that table and we hit ourselves on the edge. So we're learning now, that was my own fault. Okay, so, and as we grow older, we learn these same things, resistance, and we learn, that was my own fault, right? I should not have been in this relationship or in that one. Ultimately, that person, I can't change that person. I can't change the table either. So I shouldn't have to change the table. So I can round up the edges of the table, or I can create a table that's more consumer friendly, right? So, and that's the creation process. That's much better. And then maybe we can take the old table, put it in a museum, right? For the museum for how people used to make everything consumer unfriendly. So my mind's all over the place again. But it's all important, right? It's a learning experience. Everything is learning, and we have to learn. We have to realize that this is like a video game. This is a reality we have come into in order to learn, in order to grow. It's all about learning. Don't be stagnated. Don't let some religious person tell you that you shouldn't pick up a book, or you shouldn't learn, or you shouldn't think for yourself. Okay, so I'm always saying religion is a mistake. So just as a table with sharp, pointy corners is a mistake as well. So the next table will have rounded corners. The next toilet commode will be made with rounded corners. And instead of using flush toilets, we have to do full circle composting, because people have depleted our topsoil with flush toilets. Okay, now that's a little harder to learn when the whole planet of people are doing it like this, right? The WC, the water closet, the flush toilet that flushes everything into a sewer plant, where the water goes through purification stages, and most of those are corrupt, by the way. Okay, so the water isn't even pure that comes out of it. It's a lot of corruption and money siphoning and so on. But what we need to do is, we need to, not outhouses again. I'm not talking about outhouses. No. I'm talking about luxurious composting toilets, okay? And they can be as luxurious as you want it. They can even have gold veins and they're made out of gold-veined porcelain and marble, okay? Or incredible black onyx countertop toilet seats. But the bucket has to go underneath, and you have to bring the bucket out, and you have to put the bucket into a composting bin and the content of it, okay? And there'll be billions of earthworms growing in there, and they will transform all of that stuff into black, healthy, nutrient-rich earth soil, and you put that back into the land, okay? Then we have food to eat. That is, the plants that grow in it are full of nutrients, okay? So I read a very important, that's probably the most important article I've ever read in my entire life, in an environmental magazine, Ode magazine. I got a subscription for that. I somehow won a subscription for 12 issues of this magazine, and I read all of them with much interest. I don't buy magazines because they use trees to make paper, so I try not to. I'm a true environmentalist, okay? I walk my talk. But I'm glad I read that article by that environmental farmer. And he talked about the utmost importance of a full circle composting system, because we have to put the nutrients back into our soil. The earthworms do the work. They transform the soil into rich earth potting soil, okay, planting soil. And the plants are healthy. And when we eat the plants, we are healthy. And then we bring the nutrients back into it. It's a biodynamic life cycle that is absolutely necessary for survival and existence. And if we don't do this, if we constantly leach the soil by putting the dung into flush toilets that are then routed, the dung is then routed to sewer plants where it's not going back into the land. Then we have this going on for 100 years. Rudolf Steiner warned us about this in depth. Okay, he talked about this. He saw that coming. He died somewhere in the 1920s, and he has written extensive articles on this, on the importance of nutrient-rich soil. Okay, so I read his books, I read his articles. It's vitally important to implement his books into every single school library and mandatory school literature. Okay, every child needs to learn about this. Every child needs to read every single book of Rudolf Steiner. I went to a Waldorf school, and not even the Waldorf school taught the books by Rudolf Steiner. It was just a cult, that's all it was, and a stupid one at that. Okay, so a private school, but very cultish. And I had to leave there when I was 16 because I couldn't stand it anymore. It was so bad. It just went so much on my nerves. I couldn't deal with them anymore. Then they had a couple of good things going for themselves, but the way it was conducted, it was stupid, cultish, and the school literature made no sense. It was out of context, and that's something that Rudolf Steiner actually criticized. That Rudolf Steiner wanted to do better, but then the people, they don't listen to him. And J.J. Krishnamurti wanted to do it better. He founded a school in England, the Brockwood Park School, where kids learn everything that is necessary to learn through context relation. So through hands-on involvement with actual materials, with actual things, with actual details. Okay, so that is how we learn. So if you make a child learn about the the table of elements in chemistry. How does that feel to a child? They don't even know why they're learning this. They have no idea why they have to remember all of this. Okay, so these different elements, they don't even, it's completely cut out of any context. If we so easy, oh, there it is back. It would be so easy to bring something very, very detailed and interesting into it. Like we have chemistry, and the teacher comes in and says, we are making a perfume today. So now everyone is on board, okay? We can make one for the boys and one for the girls, okay? We can make one that smells like La Vie est Belle, and we can make one that smells like Dior Sauvage, or whatever. Yeah, and they will all be on board. Oh my goodness, I get to make a perfume oil for free, and everyone is gonna get like a, I don't know, half-ounce bottle to take home, and everyone's gonna be excited about this. Okay, and maybe they can even make their own. They can experiment, making their own creation and all of this. Then they're learning chemistry like child play, literally like child play. And that's how every single subject should be taught. Okay, I'm addressing a couple of points again now in this video. It's all over the place, but all of this is very, very important, I think. But what's really necessary right now, in this point in time, on this planet, is we need to create therapy help centers that are free of charge, community centers, okay? And I designed it in my head. One, there is they're having trouble with the power lines, I guess. But anyway, we need one closed center, and that's the Elon Musk said we need to bring back insane asylums. I told him spot on. We desperately need insane asylums for people like Gavin Newsom and Anthony Fauci, right? They need to be in insane asylums, those people. Yes, that they can make, in those insane asylums, they get a Nabi tablet, and they can make with their psychiatrist, they make vegan milkshakes together there in the kitchen. They'll teach them something hands-on, something they never learned, right? They never made their own milkshake, these people. So where they finally learn to dig into the soil and do something in the garden with their hands, right? They never learned that in their lives. They only learned corrupt actions. That's all they learned in their lives. Or doing chemistry for the pharmaceutical industry. So, and total corruption and causing pandemics. That's all they learned. And total organized crime collaboration and all of that. So now they need to be put in insane asylums. We can call it that. We can also give it a more euphemistic term. We can call it therapy help center number 2 or something, I don't care, whatever. But the closed ward, the therapy help center number 2 is closed ward. We need to have that worldwide, and El Salvador has a role model for that. That's absolutely prototype for that, So the ultimate escape from New York prison. So you have the choice, Anthony Fauci. You can go in with all these violent criminals, the ones that bang and beat each other to death. Or you can go into the more civilized compound of that prison system. The one where you learn to plant trees and you grow your own food and you work hard, but it's honest work, so take your pick. Okay, so yeah, that's what we need. This is a great role model for that. And of course the underworld string holders don't want that, and of course they'll call it Adolf Hitler. Of course they do. That's how easy that is to manipulate people with the scare tactic of using these shame words, right? Shame. If they can shame people, and the ET said it too, they see this. If the underworld people, if they can shame the public into a specific direction, then the public will follow 100%. Because people are so easily shamed into things. My brother, for example, so easily shamed. Oh, you, look at that. You like Adolf Hitler? Oh, you act like Hitler. I better not do that. I can't be, I'm shivering in my pants. I can't be acting like Hitler. Oh my goodness, I'm gonna be called Hitler. Okay, that's how they mind control the public. That's exactly how you give into it, you shiver in your pants, you give into it, you cater to them. No, you should show them the finger and say, hell yes, I'm gonna do it like Hitler. So I'm gonna do it, and the heck with the underworld shame tactic people, right? So let them be confused, okay? I don't want them to be confused. I want to help everyone, but you do your thing. So if you can't convince them, then you do your thing. And you don't let them shame you out of it. So you do your composting. I talk to people about composting. They go, oh no, we can't go back to older couple. We can't go back to outhouses. But I've never said outhouses. Right? So it's hard to talk to people when they're like, they already associate something. They associate shame in particular with certain things. And when people associate shame, my mother, like, for example, the fear of tacky curtains. This is like a phobia almost. The terrible fear of tacky curtains. It's also trauma that predates all of that. But then this fear of tacky curtains then is molded into a shame tactic also. And then that's being then passed on to the children, who are then shamed into also not liking tacky embroidery, whatever, half silken, as she called it, type of kitsch or spießig, they called it. Spießige Gardinen. Tacky curtains, right? You're not allowed to have tacky curtains, or you'll be shamed. And they can do anything. They can take anything out of life and associate that with shame, and then people will stay away from it. And that's how the underworld functions. That's how the MK Ultra functions. So be stronger than that. Okay, if you like embroidered tacky curtains, then you have the right to hang embroidered tacky curtains on your... I don't even have the right to call them tacky, right? Who am I to call your curtains tacky if you have embroidered curtains, right? Who the hell am I to call that out as tacky? And I've done it because my parents drilled us into it. But then at some point I started to question it. I started questioning my parents. Like, I still won't hang these tacky curtains. I made Paul take the tacky curtains off at the other house. We had a big fight over this. It was real difficult. Because to him, these tacky curtains, to him, it was the symbol of wealth. And to me, it was the symbol of tackiness and cheap taste. So that creates some kind of clash, for example, But where does he come from? All of this really relative. These kind of taste questions, it's very relative because it's related to his upbringing and it's related to my upbringing. So ultimately, in the end, the curtain is completely neutral. A neutral curtain. Believe it or not, the number is coming up now. The blue god is getting ready to say da 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 2, 3, 4, 5. There it is. 5, 5, 5, 5. The blue god says you are spot on with what you're saying. The curtain is neutral. and many other things that are neutral as well, that then later on the underworld takes, just as my mother took the curtain as an association with gypsies or someone poor or someone who doesn't have refined taste, right? And so in the same sense, the underworld will shame people into like not liking Friedrich Nietzsche. It's so easy for them to do. Like, they tell people Nietzsche was like Hitler. And so now people think Nietzsche was like Hitler because they've been told Nietzsche was. But Nietzsche had nothing to do with Hitler. He never even knew about Hitler. He was long before Hitler, right? I don't know when Hitler was born, but I think Hitler was born after Nietzsche. I don't know. Nietzsche died in 1900. My grandmother was born in 1900. So I have to look up when Adolf Hitler was born. So I know his birthday is April 20. I don't know why I remember that. I guess these kind of things don't leave your brain. But I have to look up the actual birth year. I don't know, could have. But he was somewhere born around the century, the 1900, turn of the century. Okay, somewhere around there. 1895 or something like this. I have to look it up. I'm interested now. But he didn't even know about Nietzsche. Nietzsche didn't know about him. So Nietzsche died in 1900 and never known about Adolf Hitler. So because Adolf Hitler was either just a baby, a newborn baby at that time, or just a very young child, or not even born yet. So how could he has nothing to do with that, right? But Nietzsche's sister Elizabeth, she lived longer than Nietzsche, and she did some falsification, and she started to create a connection. She started to associate Nietzsche's books then with the Nazis. And I was very, very, very much against the will of Friedrich Nietzsche, because he was against any of these kind of cults. He was against any type of cultism, actually. But the underworld has taken this a step further. They have really made Nietzsche into Nazi because they wanted to. Why? Because they wanted to shame people away from Nietzsche's books. Why did they want to shame people away from Nietzsche's books? Because Nietzsche teaches us to empower ourselves. So of course the underworld wants to shame you away from books that empower you because they don't want you to empower yourself. Does that make sense? I hope it makes a lot of sense what I'm talking about. So, but anyway, the video is now almost an hour long, and I just want to conclude the video now saying we need therapy help centers, we need the insane asylum, as Elon Musk is pointing out, rightly so. We need the insane asylum and we need to convert all prisons into insane asylums. Okay, all prisons. The prison system has failed. It's not working at all. We need to have a model like that from Nayib Bukele in El Salvador. That's working very, very. Of course, they already shamed him. They already shamed people away from him by calling him Hitler. He doesn't care. He certainly doesn't look like Hitler, and he certainly isn't Hitler. He's just doing what is necessary. Okay, he's a free brain. He is a powerful man and a free mind who thinks for himself. Okay, these people, we need more of these people in this world, and we need all of you to empower yourselves, and you need to step out of any kind of bondage situation, whether it's you working for the drug cartels or any kind of organized crime or trafficking, or you're working for a corrupt politician. Step out of it. Or you're living with terrible parents that are toxic. Step out of it. You need to empower yourself, okay? And when you empower yourself, you're no longer suicidal. Because when you empower yourself, your life has purpose. And when you have purpose, your life has meaning. Okay? And your life has meaning. You are infinitely precious. All of you. You are here to learn, not to become corrupt. Okay? So we need community centers that are therapy help centers, number one. And everything should be free. All of these health services need to be free. And people should be welcomed there with open arms without having a religious preacher preach to them and shove the religion down their throat in order to get a loaf of bread or something. All of this needs to be abolished. Someone forcing religion on people should be made into a crime, actually, because it unempowers people. If you're homeless, you go into a homeless shelter, you have the right to not have religion shoved down your throat. Because that's why all of these homeless people will say, God bless you, even those that never even were religious. Because they go to these missions and they get religions shoved down their throats. Okay, and it's not okay. That is not okay. That's mind control. That's not okay. So, I just want to make this very crystal clear where I'm coming from with what I'm saying. I am not coming from any thought school. I'm thinking for myself. I have a couple of amazing philosophers that I love and cherish, but they never wanted me to be their follower. They want me to empower myself and think for myself. And that's why I love them so much. Jiddu Krishnamurti, Gautama Buddha, and Friedrich Nietzsche. Okay, they want us to be empowered. So respect them for that. They are amazing. And they saved my life many, many times. Okay, and I want to help other people. I want other people to read them and also save their lives. If you are suicidal, if you're anyone who is suicidal, come and write me a comment. Talk to me under my video. I will talk to you. I will not ignore you. So, I'm going to turn the video off now.